Hi, and welcome to All About JB and Johnelle Hunt. Let's talk about how JB Hunt even became the famous and successful man he came to be. In the prior center interview of the married couple, Johnelle, JB's wife, explains the formation of JB's rice company. He would take rice hulls and make poultry litter from them. Johnelle says in the interview, start quote, "He had a dream, he had a vision, and he stayed with it all the way through," end quote. JB Hunt would drive his truck from Little Rock, Arkansas to St. Louis and back, and he was always gone and working. JB in the interview explained how he left Superior Fording, his traveling job, before his rice company was created, and he was the oldest male on the seniority list and the youngest man in age. If any truck left Superior Fording grounds, he was always the one to drive it. At that point in his life, he was making what would have been considered good money for that time, and he walked straight into his boss's office and quit his job at that trucking company. From then on is where Mr. Hunt started his successful life. Soon after Mr. Hunt quit his job, he started selling stocks and making money from that because he had quit his job. But the only issue was, he had trouble selling the stocks because not many people knew Mr. Hunt at that point. He started asking for guidance and help, and once that happened, he grew tremendously and began selling all his stocks that he needed to sell, which then started his empire of JB Hunt Trucking Company. JB Hunt, start quote, acted as the agent for the companies whose goods they were shipping. And this Arkansas-based company employed 14,667 people and operates 9,688 tractors and 24,576 trailers with an annual revenue exceeding $3.7 billion, end quote. JB Hunt left school in 7th grade and spent his early adult years, start quote, working jobs that ranged from picking cotton to selling lumber to driving a truck and eventually serving in the Army, end quote. Hunt, in 1961, created his new idea, which was a method, start quote, of using rice hulls for poultry litter, but he lacked the capital necessary to start his business, end quote. The company lost quite a bit of money, but soon became the largest producer of poultry litter. Start quote, in 1969, the company purchased a small trucking operation consisting of 5 tractors and 7 trailers, and JB Hunt Transport Services Incorporation was born. Soon, this company would grow by 20,000% between 1980 and 1990. JB Hunt Transport Services partnered with Santa Fe Railway and formed, start quote, the transportation industry's first ever large-scale partnership between a major trucking carrier and a railroad, end quote. This partnership was a huge success, and eventually the company had a revenue that grew beyond $2 billion, start quote. Hunt retired from his position of chairman in 1995, but he continued to steer the corporation as senior chairman until the end of 2004, when he fully retired, end quote. JB Hunt passed on December 7th, 2006. He was in, start quote, critical condition at a hospital when he slipped on ice at his home in Goshen, Arkansas, and fell, striking his head, end quote. Hunt employed more than 16,000 people and had total reported earnings of $58 million. He was a polite man who, start quote, stood more than 6 feet tall and almost always wore a Stetson hat and cowboy boots, end quote. In a JB Hunt Memorial interview, he explains in the video his accounts and stories of his long time in the business world. He said that being the smartest one is only so good. It's the people you know and how you work with those people. He also said that if you're going to be poor, do it while you are young so you can build up from that and get away from being poor as soon as possible. Success to JB was hard work, sweat dripping down your face. Not how much money you make, but how much effort you put into the job. He was a very spiritual man, as he explains in the video, and it's never about the money. He liked to be rich in wealth, health, and spirituality. JB would make it a priority to see each of his men at his trucking company, and he would make their day by seeing them. It was their starter button to their day, JB described. JB was very much a family-oriented man, a work-together or not-at-all kind of guy. He liked to live every day with the motto, start quote, "Today is going to be better than yesterday," end quote. He was very keen on you have to learn to work with little so you know how to work with a lot in the future. Work ethic is everything to Mr. Hunt. And as exemplified in the interview of him, he clearly created an amazing work ethic that created an empire. Now let's talk Johnelle Hunt, J.B. Hunt's wonderful wife. In the Arkansas Women's Hall of Fame interview, Johnelle accounts her life and her time with J.B. Hunt, with their marriage and their business. They started a great young romance that turned into a marriage of almost 55 years. Her main job was always collecting. She says that if you are going to work with people and have a business, start quote, "You better collect your money," end quote. She had a great work ethic and would stay awake all night trying to find ways to get her money and keep her work ethic and collecting business going. She was very tough in her collections, and she never cared what the job was that she was doing, but she would just do it. Whether it was washing dishes, doing her collecting work, taking care of the kids, she would always just get it done. Her advice for all young people wanting to rise to the top is hard work for your employers. Do everything that you see that needs to be done, and you will be on top, and you will be noticed. Johnelle's plan was to never be involved in her husband JB's work, but when Mr. Hunt passed away, she knew she could not be involved. She had tons of families and people involved that needed her. All of those years that JB put her to work and she created that work ethic is what helped her for when he passed. She tried to carry on his legacy and keep the company exactly as she left because she knows that it is what he would want. She gives great advice explaining that she was just a small young girl that, start quote, would make average grades, end quote. And now she is where she is today. Anyone can do it. She just uses common sense on things, and she is, start quote, good at listening to good advice, end quote. And that was the All About JB and Johnelle Hunt podcast. Thank you for listening.